The following edition of Connecticut Valley Views is made possible by Windsor Federal Savings, with offices in Windsor, Bloomfield, Granby, and East Windsor. Neighbors helping neighbors since 1936. Join me, Susan Regan, host of Connecticut Valley Views, the most widely watched interview program on Connecticut Public Access TV. Proof to the people is the byline, insight without bias, generating a 360 perspective. Our mission is to focus on topical subjects with thought-provoking interviews regarding municipal leadership, current affairs, educational and political topics, as well as key destination points in New England. Hello, I'm Susan Regan, and I'm here today in the Hartford offices of AARP, and we're going to be interviewing two people who volunteer for the group. And my first guest is Cynthia DelFavero, and she is a volunteer community engagement specialist. It's a pleasure to be with you, Cindy.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to meet you.
And Byron Peterson. He is the volunteer advocacy specialist and AARP Connecticut Executive Council member. And as I understand it, you're the Volunteer Specialist of the Year.
Yes.
Congratulations for that. That's quite actually an acknowledgement to be the Volunteer of the Year. How is that determined?
Well, basically, it's determined as to the activities you've been involved in, the roles you have played, the leadership aspects you've gotten involved with, and a host of other things. I didn't realize the year went by so fast, but I guess I was involved in quite a bit.
You know, when you have a passion for it. I think people know when it's a sincere effort on your part. I think that makes a big difference. Well, how did you get involved, Byron? How did you come about?
Well, I've been a member of AARP for about 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I attended a meeting a year ago talking about You've Earned a Say and Social Security and Medicare. And in a former life, I was involved with some governmental aspects. And I listened to it, and I started raising some questions. And someone spoke to me and said, would you care to volunteer for the program? And I said yes. Came in and got trained and met a host of people, and it's been a passionate love affair ever since.
Well, that's great. Now, Cindy, how did you come about joining?
Well, when
being
I was
a volunteer.
When I was in graduate school, I did my internship here. That's how it all started. And after I was done with that, I got involved with a program called Decide, Create, Share. That's a program for women that AARP does, and I love that program, and so I've been a volunteer with them ever since.
Well, and what do you think is the greatest aspect of belonging to AARP as a volunteer? What do you get back from it? Obviously, there's a reward of some kind.
Absolutely. The people that I have met while working as a volunteer for AARP, like Byron, I can't even begin to describe what wonderful people they have for volunteers. And when I go out into the community, people respect the name AARP. When I say that I'm a volunteer with AARP, people listen to what I have to say.
Well, you have a great product to sell.
Absolutely. And it's just wonderful to be able to talk to people about important issues that affect, especially since I have my master's degrees in gerontology, so I'm very much interested in that age group and that population. It's really, really wonderful for me to have the information that I can get from AARP and be able to go out into the community.
Well, you're able to apply this to the volunteer work that you're doing.
Absolutely.
So your background, your experience, and your education is lying right in that field.
Yes, it was. It's just a great fit, but we have so much fun. And volunteering for AARP is just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I can't sing its praises high enough. It's just a lot of fun.
Great.
And we have great people here.
Great. All right, well, let me ask you a couple of things. One of them is, what is the individual mandate, and why do we have it, this individual mandate?
Well, the individual mandate is part of the Affordable Care Act that says that starting in 2014, most Americans will be required to have health insurance. That is important because there's a lot of people that are not able to afford health insurance right now, and this gives them an opportunity to make better decisions about their health care and shop in what's called the marketplace now. They'll be able to shop in the marketplace and be able to compare different things so that they can get more informed, make more informed choices.
A better decision for them as an individual.
Absolutely.
And or for their
right,
family.
Right, they'll be able to compare apples to apples and be able to shop. It's important because there are people who have not been able to have access to the health insurance market. And now people, for example, with pre-existing conditions, now there's a place for them to go to buy insurance, and it may be affordable for them because they may be able to get financial help.
Sure. Well, I see two roles in Byron for AARP. The two roles are this. One, I think people need to know that anyone who is on Medicare does not need to worry about the new health care law. They are on Medicare, they're covered. However, they can look for and should look for supplementary insurance. Now, AARP gives you that opportunity to look for that insurance, but even more than that, they answer questions about the changing pieces of the Affordable Care Act. They respond to people who need to understand what's going on, where can they get answers, how to understand it. I mean, is that not true?
Yes, it is. I think the AARP has played a role of providing education to those who are on Medicare as to what the Act will affect. And in most cases, people are not aware that Medicare people are not going to be affected negatively. They have nothing to worry. In fact, most Americans who are on Medicare, Medicaid, employer-sponsored programs, some private insurance programs, will have no need to utilize the marketplace that they have.
Yeah.
People need to be aware of that, and AARP has found a niche, if you will, of providing that knowledge and information.
Well, one of the things I noted, I have a printout here of something that AARP has sent out to the folks, and it is a petition that's to protect the Medicare area of people. And it's something that you can address the letter to President Obama, and you can also send it to your local representative and senators.
Yes.
Basically saying don't change anything, don't take money from Medicare, don't take money from these programs. So this was just recently went out, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
So it's a
Yep.
nationwide program to get people's support to say, please don't change it. Because I guess people are saying money will be taken from Medicare to support the Affordable Care Act. That's what the fear is.
That's the fear, yes. People are of the belief that that money will be taken away from Medicare. In reality, AARP is trying to provide people an understanding of options that we may want to consider that can help avoid the issue of having money taken away.
Sort of another donut hole gap, if you will. But there is a saying that says perception is reality.
Yes.
And when you hear these things discussed on the news, and when you see people saying you're going to look, yes, there's the Affordable Care Act, it's going to cover more people and so forth and so on, don't realize that it does cost money and it's going to be taken from somewhere. And there's great fear that the Medicare...
But Medicare benefits are going to be protected. Under this law, Medicare recipients right now, they don't have to do anything. They've got their insurance coverage.
Correct.
And their benefits are protected, and they've been expanded. So it's not something that people that are on Medicare need to fear. It's actually a positive thing. They don't have to do anything, and they're going to get expanded benefits as far as things like testing that they won't have to pay copays for, things like that. So it's a positive thing for people that are on Medicare. Their benefits are protected.
Well, the unraveling of a few things, like for instance, IBM and there's another company, I believe it might be GE, I'm not sure, are saying that they're actually taking people who, through their agreements that when they retire that they would have health insurance to cover them for the rest of their life, they're taking some of those things away, and or they're supplementing it with money and telling them to go out and buy their, their own health care.
Sure, but in the marketplace that we that's going to be open in Connecticut as of October 1st,
right.
If that should happen, people will be able to go there and buy insurance on their own if they don't have insurance coverage, if that happens, and they may be qualified to get financial help as well.
Yes, yes, and I have interviewed Kevin Cunahan, who's the president and CEO, and he's very good, and I think one of the things they're doing is that they're actually setting up quote-unquote stores out in different cities, so it isn't like you have to come to Hartford to do it.
Yes.
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 Are you
They're looking at stores in Bridgeport, New Haven, as well as Hartford, so that people have a place to go, have the face-to-face, besides just the online and telephone approach.
Right, right.
And that's helpful. That'll be very helpful.
Well, that's a reach out, and I think
Yes.
that's important. The attitude is important, and I know that he strives to have his team say, we are here to help people, we are not here to hinder people.
Absolutely.
We want to make sure the word
that's great.
gets out. Now, what the health
insurance in the marketplace. That is the company store, as it were, or that is the store for people to go to. And we know that not everyone has to buy health care insurance, but I guess on an individual basis, it's a situation of take stock of where you are. I work for a company, I currently have coverage, I'm covered, my family's covered, but I think what it is too is in case that changes, in case that dynamic changes, you know that you can go back to this exchange and say, look, I'm covered still, but my family's not. Can we get this? And I think it's also important to know that I think you have until January 1st to get this all done.
Actually, you have a little bit longer this year.
Oh, okay.
For the first year of this enrollment, they've extended it till March 31st.
Oh, all right.
So you do have longer this year.
Well, I appreciate you correcting me on that, because
yeah.
that's important. Yeah.
People have a longer time.
To do that. What is, and I guess I'm not familiar with this, what is the ban on lifetime limits take effect? What is that about?
Well, the lifetime limit ban went into effect as of 2010, at which time companies or insurers could not set a limit on the amount to be spent. As of 2014, there'll be a ban on annual limits, which is now being basically saying no limits will be applied at all, either from a lifetime side or from an annual point of view.
So this is kind of in addition to pre-existing conditions. They're kind of like sort of stretching the elastic,
Stretching it out, expanding it, right.
To covering all, sections. I think one of the other things that concern people, and I just like to have your thoughts on it, is that the coverage that they purchase, their concern is it sounds pretty good and I think I can afford it going into it, but they also hear, I get it the first year, it's not too bad, the second year might cost me more, and as this thing rolls out, will my premiums increase?
Well, that happens to all of us. Costs go up no matter where you buy your insurance, or, groceries, the cost of groceries go up, the cost of gas goes up. It's not something that should be unexpected.
Yes.
There are limits on how much people will pay initially, but those costs will increase, and that happens in every aspect of our lives.
Well, our gatekeeper on that is actually the state of Connecticut, because the state of Connecticut, their insurance department has to monitor what that rate increase is.
Absolutely.
And if the companies involved say we want to increase it by 25%, they can say no, there's no way we can allow, you have to substantiate it, what are the problems, why is this happening, and so forth and so on. And even if they can substantiate it, they can cut it back to 15 or 10 or whatever it is.
And
I was going to say, one of the benefits of the marketplace is that you will have a choice annually during an open enrollment period to be able to compare plans and decide if this one's too expensive, then I might go to this one, recognizing there may be differences in my co-insurance, deductibles, but you'll have that opportunity to do some comparison.
Yes, well, because there's a gold and a silver and a bronze level, I think. There are
Correct,
different
for the
levels.
three tiers, yes.
3 tiers, and then you, along with that, then you also have whether you're an individual, whether you're a family of 2 children, and so forth and so on. Now, when you are working with people and with members, what do you see as the question? I'm going to ask you first.
Okay, sure.
What question or questions are you asked the most often about why I should join AARP, and what do you tell them are the best benefits?
Oh, well.
There are a lot of benefits.
Sure, absolutely. Where do I start?
Yeah.
One of the most important things to me is that by becoming a member of AARP, you're adding your voice to a large group of people, and you're contributing. It's a small amount financially, but you're becoming a part of a large group that does a lot of good for older adults, and right now doing a lot of good for the community at large, because AARP has taken it upon themselves to go out into the community to educate everyone, not just older adults, but everyone that is potentially impacted by the Affordable Care Law. But AARP does a lot of research. They do a lot of really good things. There's a lot of charitable work, a lot of volunteer hours go into helping people in the community. And you, as I said earlier, you meet the most wonderful people if you choose to do volunteer work. If you choose not to, you're still, there are discounts that you get for being a member. on a lot of different things. Insurance is one of them. But more importantly to me, and the thing that I tend to tell people, is that you're becoming part of a group that is very influential politically. And you can
That's
add
a
your
good
voice
point,
to that.
Cindy. That's a
You
very
can
good
add your
point.
voice to that. If things, and it's not necessarily Democrat or Republican. We embrace everybody's viewpoints. But if you feel something is important to you, you should speak out.
I kind of look at it as a kind of a prenup or a class action suit. Well, what I'm saying is there's a large, there's an agreement up front that this is what's going to happen, and that a large body of people are one voice. And so when you say you've joined a group that's going to protect the group, much like a union does. So, but AARP has a great historical record for representing this group of people, and what's so nice is that you're right, it's very cost efficient, and your spouse can belong as well, even if they're not of the right age group yet.
That's correct.
For $16 a year, you get a lot of benefit,
That's
and
correct.
you're contributing to a really good group.
And it's a very contemporary group. It stays right on top of the issues
Absolutely.
as the news changes, as the issues change, as policies change,
Absolutely.
As laws change, as the population itself changes. Now we're having more baby boomers, obviously are coming into the marketplace, as it were, and they stay right on top of these things. And I think that they're very in
Absolutely.
tune what's bothering people the most and what's concerning people the most. Now,
Absolutely.
from your experience, Byron, what do you see as questions that are asked or concerns that are asked, or what do people look for in AARP the most? What's the greatest benefit they seem to
Well, I
get?
find many of them, first of all, misconstrue our relationship with our insurance companies that we've endorsed and say, can you help me with my insurance? They feel very comfortable about discussing that, but they see that as an important part of what AARP has brought to them to at least consider. And as part of their life as they get older, they get concerned about. The other thing I find people are very concerned about is the information that they can get from AARP that they can't get anywhere else. Information about retirement services. They can go online and they can get information off of AARP's website about a variety of different subjects that they hadn't thought about, besides enjoying the discounts
Sure,
they
of
can
course.
get both statewide and nationally.
Of course.
And I find that something that many people are concerned with. Another thing I found is that as we got involved with advocacy, which is where I first started, individuals didn't realize that they did have a say. They could make a difference. And based on an issue we had here in Connecticut, they discovered how strong they were when they started getting information from us about call, write, and so forth. It's the first time I had a legislator walk up to me and say, can you get my constituents to stop calling me?
Yes.
And we were smiling because they realized they had that power.
Sure.
They were being heard.
Yes, yes. And speaking about being heard, I think it's very important, and maybe you can kind of share, when you say you're volunteers, obviously you're here in the Hartford office and whatever roles you play here, but then do you go out to see people, or how do you interface with the folks? I mean, do you go to their homes, or what is your sort of role?
The programs that I'm also involved in advocacy as well as community engagement, but we do things generally en masse. Okay. Generally, it's not one-on-one.
I see. Okay.
2 weekends ago, I was the lead volunteer at the Women's Health Expo that was at the Convention Center. We had a booth there,
Right.
and we had, I believe there was something like 20,000 people that attended, and we had a lot of people at our booth. So we're disseminating information that way. We had at one point 4 volunteers, but generally it was about 3 people. And we talk to people at trade shows. We do things at the Beardsley Zoo down in Bridgeport. There's events all over the state. And that's the nice thing about being a volunteer too, is that you can pick and choose what events you want to do and how much time you want to invest. Another program that I do that I mentioned earlier is the Decide, Create, Share program for women. We teach women about planning for their future. I like to call it their second act. And we meet in all different size groups. We can meet with just a few women to discuss this program and the things that you need to start thinking about so that you can live independently and have a better quality of life. But we also I've spoken to church groups. There's just all different kinds of groups that we talk to, different sizes. So it's more, we're trying to get out more broadly into the community to meet as many people as we can to help people and to, get our message out.
Sure.
Yeah. From my
Yeah, please, go ahead,
From my
Byron.
end, I'm involved with the local chapter. I'm in the Shelton area. I'm their legislative lead, so I get a chance to talk to the group as a whole. There's usually 30 to 50 people that attend the meeting. So I do get a chance to talk to individuals. This week has been a busy week in that I was a participant in the Boomers and Beyond down in
Yes.
the Marriott, and got a chance to meet hundreds of people,
Yes.
which is why my voice is a little harsh today.
Yeah.
I did a lot of talking. But also tomorrow I'll be presenting Affordable Care Act to the leaders of the chapters, and I'll get a chance to share that knowledge with
Yes.
them. So as Cindy said, we generally meet in large groups,
Right.
but there is also the opportunity to meet people individually.
Well, when you're meeting with these folks and they're talking to you about things, I think the second act was a very good
Yeah.
description of it. There are so many people, and particularly men, and there will be more women, but particularly men who are used to having a corporate life, a business life, an office to go to. The other opportunity is to become a volunteer and perhaps a spokesperson and or become a mentor to someone else who wants to do an entrepreneurial business
Yes,
thing as a
yes.
second career.
Yes.
And I think that that's important for them because truly they have so much experience and knowledge and wherewithal and contacts that they can pass this on to other people who are starting out and who need this kind of experience. And what it does is it's a very fulfilling thing to be able to have learned all of these things and become someone who shares that.
Yes.
And I think that's
Yes.
that's very, very important. I find that it gives people impetus and reason and objective, for get up every morning and
Absolutely.
Yes.
having,
Yes.
having something they have to do. Now, what are some of the income tax implications in this law? If you don't get it and you don't sign up, you have to pay a fee, right?
That's correct.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, as of January 1st, 2014, most Americans are required to have health insurance. If you are required to have health insurance under
Right.
the definition of the law,
Right.
and you choose not to get health insurance, which is your prerogative, there is a fine. The first year it's $95 or 1% of your income, whichever is larger.
Right,
And that will go up every year
right.
as long as you don't have insurance. With regard to, there has been, I gather, some question about reporting of the health benefits if you are employed with your W-2s.
Yes.
That's just a reporting requirement.
Okay.
All it requires is the employers show on the W-2 forms how much your health care is costing. That amount is not included in your taxable income. It's just for illustrative purposes so that you understand how much money your employer is spending on your health insurance. But it is not included in your taxable income.
Okay.
And there will be a fine if you
So
choose not
I
to
guess
get
that would
insurance.
lead me to a question, and it may be a silly question, but you can count into your taxes a write-off for some of your health care insurance, long-term care and or some of your insurance. And I'm just wondering if you're needing to buy this insurance, if that's part of a tax write-off. Is that a possibility?
Well, there may be, if you qualify financially,
All
you
right.
meet certain guidelines, you may be eligible for tax credits to help you with the insurance, which is why this is such a great thing for young people and
Yes.
for people who have lost their jobs in this economic downturn
Yes.
that we've had.
Yes.
And people that haven't been able to get insurance in the first place because of pre-existing conditions. If you qualify financially, you may be eligible for financial assistance. So,
Or subsidy, that's how they're referring to it.
yes, absolutely.
So when they go to the store exchange, then they can get a lot of answers there with regard
Yes.
to where they qualify, how they qualify. And they also have navigators who are people that are assigned
Yes.
to helping you get through the paperwork, because I think there's paperwork that needs to be completed to see where you fall into can you apply, how much you will have to pay according to your income and so forth.
Well, actually, there is a calculator on the Access Health CT, and that can assist you in understanding if you do qualify.
Yes.
Put in your demographic data, and it can come back and let you know what you may qualify for.
All right, so that's very helpful in itself too.
Yes.
And if that doesn't give you full answers or questions to that, then you can contact them or certainly call you folks.
Right. Or you can go into Health Law Answers, which is another website which will guide you through the healthcare situation.
Yes.
It's
Benefits.
healthlawanswers.org.
Right.
All right, let's get a little bit more personal because I try to ask questions, not personal on a personal basis, but personal about individuals. If individuals don't have a person, a son, a daughter, perhaps they're incapacitated, they haven't had a job, and maybe are just don't have a computer, just are not in a good spot.
Sure.
All right, and they don't have anybody they feel that they can go to. They could call AARP and say, look, I don't have a computer. I don't have my job right now. I'm a little concerned. I was with an employer. I had insurance and so forth. AARP is a friend
Absolutely.
that as I understand it, even if you're not a member, you will help
Absolutely.
direct
Yes.
Absolutely.
and help them to navigate
Absolutely.
what they need to get done.
AARP has made a commitment to supporting the new healthcare law.
Yeah.
And as a group, they're supporting everyone with this
Sure.
process because the more people that get involved, the better it is for everybody. So you don't have to be a member of AARP to call us.
Yes.
And absolutely the help will be there.
Yes.
And we understand that not everyone can afford to have a computer and not everyone has access to the internet. So if you don't know how to use a computer, there's still the telephone.
Sure.
That's still a viable option. So yes, absolutely.
All right, well, just one more thing. I'm just going to touch on the subject. I know it's important to people to know that now that the employers, that mandate has been taken away, it's been put off for a year. I guess your thoughts, and I guess I would ask you the question, your thoughts, that if employers are not, and if there is any confusion or if there's any whatever, because now it is on the shoulders of the individual to pursue this and to find it their way through the maze, as it were. Do you think there should be a little hiatus here for people to get used to, or do you think all the individuals will be able to get all the answers they need, particularly in our state of Connecticut?
Oh, I think personally, because they've extended the open enrollment period for this initial year until March 31st, you've got from October 1st to March 31st
Sure.
to do a lot of legwork and do a
Yes.
lot of homework and investigating. Our website, healthlawanswers.org, has a ton of information on it. So that would be my first step. I would go there first. All of the links to other websites, if you have access to a computer and
Yes.
understand how to use it, I would go there first because we have our own calculator there also. We'll direct you, even if you're not in the state of Connecticut, because the website's a national website,
Yes.
it'll direct you to whatever state you're in to get you to the
So
marketplaces
the answers are there. There's been an extended
Absolutely.
amount of
Correct.
time.
Absolutely.
Correct.
People should not fear this. They
Absolutely.
should get on
Right.
board and move ahead with it because it's going to benefit them.
Knowledge is power.
Well,
Additionally, if I just add in one other thing, if they make a decision and they say, I did more investigation and I don't like what I made, they can change that decision provided it is before the effective
good
date
point,
of
Byron.
coverage.
Yeah,
That's
good,
another
good,
opportunity
good,
they
good
have.
point, because there's a little exit. They can go off
Yes,
the highway if
yes.
necessary.
Right.
Well, it's been very interesting. You folks have been very kind to give us the
Thank
time.
you.
It's been a pleasure to be here with you, and I'd like you to give your website if you could, Cindy.
Sure. Once again, it's www.healthlawanswers.org.
Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you
you.
so much. We appreciate
All
your
right.
time.
And I want to thank my viewers for being here. You can see us on Facebook, and you can see all of our programs on our website, ConnecticutCTValleyViews.com. This is Susan Regan, thanking you for joining me and bringing proof to the people.
Our thanks to Windsor Federal Savings for making this program possible. Neighbors helping neighbors since 1936.